Hey, let's see. Spin this around a little bit here. How is everyone doing? All right, all right. Let's see here what we got going. All right, let's bring my screen up first and then we'll get the introductions out of the way, okay? There it goes. All right. My name's Kurt and my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws and this is our Wednesday afternoon live. We always get together on 2 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesdays and we draw something that has to do with the portrait. If you like to participate in the image that we like to draw, I would join our Facebook group and you can find a link down in the description. I usually post a couple different portraits. The group votes on which one we do, and then we get together on the afternoon and spend 30-40 minutes drawing a portrait. So today we have oh my goodness. I gotta look this up. I am so sorry. I was so excited about this. Let's see here. YouTube live stream. Oh yeah, Vasil Levski. Vasil Levski. Who is this guy? Well, he is the person who is the catalyst to bring independence to Bulgaria and give a lot of freedom to all the people there. So somebody in our group, I don't know if it was Stanislava who posted this. Maybe it was someone else. But I was inspired by what they did, and I asked about who this person was, and they let me know. So I kind of like this guy, kind of individual freedom. I like that, and I liked what he did. So there's a lot of love for this gentleman in Bulgaria, and I respect that and thought we would give the afternoon and give this picture a good drawing. So forgive me if I don't know enough, but I did look it up just a little bit. Anyways, so this is a great pose. Let's go ahead and use this and to exercise just our practicing of drawing a portrait. So with that being said, before we get started, what I want to do is to review with you what I call the tools of measurement. So let me write these down here, and you hopefully will find these to be helpful. Tools of measurement. MESUR measurement. Okay, there it is. I just had a brain freeze. So the tools of measurement. What is this? What are these things? These are the little things that I use in order to get my proportion straight, locked on. Okay, so I use these constantly. There are many of them. And let me give you the one that you see, like what beginners will immediately use. They will use a simple grid system where they will grid out a photo and then put that grid system onto their paper, and then they will draw that. Okay, so that's a fine tool to use. I think it becomes very mechanical and takes away the flow of your sketching. And if you like this method, I would simply encourage you to try and get away from that method as soon as you can, because it can become a hindrance, and it will you will lose some personality when you're using that grid system as a way of keeping your proportion. It's okay to start off with that, but you want to quickly move on. So the rules of measurement that I use, and it kind of finds itself in that grid system in a sense. I will use vertical lines and horizontal lines. Okay, that's 1, 2, Number 3, I will use negative space. You could also call this not only negative space. Oh man, my spelling is awful. You would think that I don't speak English. Negative space. Also, you could think of negative space as being shape. Sometimes I'll use like big flat shapes. And the last thing is what is called the cartoon check. Okay. So let me demonstrate real quickly what these are before we get started. So vertical and horizontal lines. If I was looking at this picture here, I might ask myself, wow, look, the corner of his mouth lines up. Oh, where's that line up? Oh, with the inside part of his pupil there. You see that? That's a good alignment to think of. Corner of his nose lines up. Okay, just on the inside of his tear duct, all right? So that would be using a vertical line. Let's look at our horizontal line here and see what things we could find. If I was going to use a horizontal line, I might say, oh, the bottom of his, oh, look at that. Bottom of his ear almost lines up, well, right in between his nose and his mouth. That's a good vertical alignment, all right? You might look at, ooh, the corner of his jaw lines up. Oh, wow, with the corner of his mouth. Top of the ear lines up with the middle of his pupil. You see, so these are using horizontal lines. What do I mean by negative space? Well, let's take a look at that. Look at this. This is a negative space and a shape. It's this right here. So when I go to draw the neck and that shoulder area, I might look for this shape. And if I can match that shape to my drawing, then it's going to be nice and locked in. Okay, so that's the negative space or negative shape. It's one and the same. Here's another one, and we'll talk about this. Look at this. This is a negative. This is what I call a negative shape. Look at that. When I go to draw the forehead, I'm going to look for that shape and make sure I'm matching that shape on my drawing. You see that? All right, so that there is using negative space or a negative shape, okay? The last thing is a cartoon check. So let me kind of show you what that is here. Let me erase this. All right, so a cartoon check might be something like this. Let's just come here. Let's just say we were going to draw that shape right there, okay? So on my drawing, let's just say if I had this is the top of his head here, and I'm like, all right, so I think this is gonna come down like this. Okay, so there's my shape. In order to use this cartoon check, what I would do is I would look at this first, and then I would look at this. And then I'd move my eye back here, and I would jump back and forth really fast and try and get those shapes to be exactly the same. So if I do that right now of what I just drawn, look at this. This little part is much more truncated than that over there. You see that? So using that cartoon check, I could quickly see that the shape that I drew needs to be stretched just a little bit. All right. So those are the tools of measurement. Those 4 tools I use all the time. It doesn't matter if I'm drawing portraitures or landscapes or anything. I'm using these things constantly. Okay. So these are a good thing to have in your toolbox in your head there. All right. All right. Let's get rid of that. I'll tell you what, we'll just come up with a new layer here. All right, let's talk about the human head for a second. All right, here's my skull that I have down that I use oftentimes to demonstrate, and I want you to see when you look at the head straight on. You can even see my head. The sides are very flat. You see that? they're very flat, and you want to remember this idea. But when I turn the head to the side, wow, now the head gets extremely round, right? So the thing is, when we start to look at a picture that is like this, that is in 3/4 view, like our drawing here of Vasil, you will see that this edge is very flat, but then the back side is very round. Now, his portrait is even more looking almost right at us, so it's going to be still be flat on this side, and it's not quite as round over here because it is it's like looking almost straight at us. Okay, so keep those ideas in mind as we go about drawing him. Okay, let's go ahead and drop this in. Let's go ahead and get started. And I want to make sure that I'm coming up here. All right, looks like I quit broadcasting here. Give me a second. And we'll go ahead and get into this right now. So make sure your pencils are sharp and ready to go to business. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So at the very early stages of any drawing, I always try and approach it very lightly. I'm going to build this up, okay? So first, when it comes to drawing a head, is you want to, I usually like to start off with a sphere. I like to start off with a sphere. And so he's a 3/4 view, so we have to remember that all of his features are going to be shifted to one side. And by the way, if you have any questions, please go ahead and throw them in the question. I didn't even notice it. Darlene's there, Pamela, Mariana. All right, excellent. All right, let's get this started here. So we've got our sphere here. All right, let's go ahead and get a brow line in. All right, and I'm just gonna put a nice line going across here. This is going to be his brow line. And let's establish the side of his head. Let's establish the side of his head. So really, we're just kind of going to drop a line going down just right along down the side there. Okay, let's find out where the temple. Let's find out where his temple is. Okay, so this is what we have to look for here. There's one temple. Okay, there is his other temple, and here is kind of roughly the back of his head. You see that? So if we've established that this is going to be the temple on one side right there, and we also have established that the back of his head is going to be somewhere over here, let's try and estimate where that other temple is going to go. And I think I'm like right about there. Do remember, when you are drawing a portraiture, focus on the construction. Don't worry about the likeness. Get the construction down. The likeness will take care of itself, okay? If you get all hung up in their likeness, then you're going to lose. Your things are going to be all messed up. All right, so there is like the side of his head that I've just cut off. And let's divide this sliced off area coming down like this. right, so that's the center. That's the center of his head. Now let's look at that closely and try and get that a point where that center line is, and it's almost like dead center of those two edges here. And then let's just drop a center line to come down off of that. Hey, do me a big favor. If you are watching live, take a minute and throw a comment. Not so much in our chat, but more at the bottom of the video. That is extremely helpful. So I would appreciate that immensely. Okay, so let's go ahead and just kind of get down here some more general proportions of where the nose might go. So next thing I'm going to look at is here's the tip of his nose. So look at that relationship to those relationships. You see that? So let's put a little marker there where we see that going. Hey Lana, how are you? Glad to have you. All right, next little marker is going to be down here at his chin, and look at that. These two distances are almost identical, so that's helpful. We can definitely get that chin in place, right? All right, the center of the lips is almost like a third. Look at that. A third from the bottom of the nose there. And then let's come up here with a nice sweep of the jaw. And then we'll do, look at this. You can kind of see the jaw's coming in here, and then it has a nice little curve like that, right? I'm keeping this light. You could even come in here with a little bit of this kind of line right there is going to help you establish where the cheeks are, where the cheeks are coming down from. Okay, let's kind of get an idea where this ear is going to fall back here. All right, so ear is going to be here, and I'm just going to bring it up. Okay. Drop a line back here for his neck there, and of course his other neck is going to be over here. And then here's our first little bit of negative shape. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that shape right there. You see that? That's his neck. Where his neck is coming in contact with his shirt. So let's try and get that in as well. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in and get this, getting his nose in place here. And, you know, a typical nose, one way to think of it is the top of the nose is what they call is the cornerstone, all right? And then if you think of a lot of times, I don't know, a man's tie can work as well. Now this of course is drawing a nose straight on. Something like that. But ours is going to be just a little bit 3/4 view, okay? So let's get that in place. Let's just start with this cornerstone. And now when I draw it 3/4, remember its side is going to always be a little bit more longer, all right? Oh, look at that. Okay, let's see if that helps. Sorry, I had something else uploading to the internet. It should be better in just a second here. Okay. All right, so this is the center part of his nose here, right? So let's go ahead then and get that nostril coming down. And then we'll have another nostril on the other side. All right, so our nostril there is going to be, yeah, yep, it's on my end, Mariana. It's on. All right, I think we're looking better now. All right, let's keep going. All right, here we go. All right, so let's go ahead and we have our brow line going across. Let's get our eye line in now. And let's start with his left eye. And you can see that the tear duct is really, it's really close to the nose there. You see that? I always like drawing an eyeball, and the round eyeball always seems to be helpful to me of getting the lid to go around the top of it. Same thing. Let's be careful here. Look at this. There's the tear duct there. Okay, so there is a vertical alignment that I could quickly see that I've really got to shift that eye to the right just a bit. right, getting my pupils in place. Now this is interesting as I'm looking at this picture here. Look at, there's that line right there. You see that? And this side of that also has a similar length. So let's come right in here with that. And then you want to get the feel that you're wrapping around. All right, let's look at the upper eyelid and look on the right hand side and watch this. Now it's close and it wraps around and make that nice and big there. I'm using the cartoon check and I can already see that my eyelid needs to be tilted down just a little bit more. So I'm going to make that adjustment. Okay, now look on his left eye here. Left eye, all right? There's a thickness here. But then look at that, the little bit of sliver of light for his eyelid there. So let's make sure that we don't lose that. And now I'm just going to look at the shape of this shadow here. And I'm not going too dark yet because I might want to adjust this. And then the same thing on the other side here. Let's look closely. Look at this bottom of that shadow right there. Where does this horizontally line up? Okay, that gives me a pretty good clue there. So let's see here. It's going to come across the bridge. Going to stop just short. All right, let's move back over to the other eye and look at that. Right underneath, he has a little bit of light on the lower eyelid, But let's think of that shape here. Look at that shape, and it's kind of flat on one side. I'm just coming down and kind of darkening my line on the side there to get a very masculine, very hard edge in a sense, right? Okay, let's get down and start working on his lip here. So first thing I want you to look is that very pronounced V. And let's look at the negative space. Let's look at this negative space between this nose here. Look at this shape. You see that? Let's get that shape in there. All right, I'll erase that now. And then the edge of his mouth is going to be out here, I believe. And now this one's going to come way out. Look where this aligns. Look at the edge here. Look at this. Lines up almost underneath his eye. What's going on here? All right, so the edge of the corner of his mouth is going to come way out here underneath his eye. You see that? And it's a little bit lower. Look at this too. There is his mouth there, and look, that's like below that. So let's make sure that we're low enough here. Now I could just kind of connect those two. All right, there's a slight curve on the top of his lip there. So let's get that in and then fill this in with a little bit of value. We'll come back and punch that in. I'm going to erase, just slightly blend out, take out this line on his eye there slightly. All right, let's get the bottom lip here. There's going to be a slight curve right here. And then now I'm going to kind of like trace the shadow. I'm going to follow the shape of the shadow down here. And then I'm going to add and make sure that containment is very light. Okay, he's got his mustache on either side. If you feel good with his lips, you can go back in now and darken them up. If you don't feel good about them and you want to rework them, then just leave them as is, and you can come back and do that later. Now, one thing I've done is, like, at the corner, I've added a little bit darker value, and then right in the middle, I added dark value, but the space in between, I've left it rather light. Okay. All right, let's get this chin in here now. All right, now I'm going to change the angle of my chin slightly. And the shadow underneath his chin, let's get that in. Let's just draw this containment area. And then there's a slight shadow Okay, I'm going to add some more tone now to the right side of his face. Because this side is not going to get as much light as the left side. I'm going to come in and we'll punch in darks here once we get the rest of the hair in. Okay, let's kind of now walk around this idea here. We're going to start right here. And I'm going to come around here and just kind of follow this shape of his hair. You see that? Being mindful of this negative, this space. Okay? That's what I'm going to look for. Oh, look at that. I just made a mistake. I love it. I love it when I catch myself. Oh boy, Kurt. Look at this. See, it's interesting as you're drawing these things, you draw things light, and as you make your way around, you find out things aren't all squared up, or they're not lining up. So, for example, there is the top of his ear right there. And that lines up with the corner of his eye. You see that? Now, look at mine. Mine is lining up with his brow. I'm sure I said that at the very beginning, but so this actually has got to come down just a bit. I'll cover that up with hair. All right, that looks much better now. Where's that? Look at this. Let's make a measurement here. Where's the edge of his hair there? Okay. Horizontal line going across, all right. It's going to be somewhere in there, I think. All right, that's okay. And then what I'm going to do now is just kind of walk around the overall shape of his hair using not curve lines. I'm just going to try and work it out using straight lines here. So let's see where we do here. So we got this. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at this. What's this distance? What's this distance? What's this distance? You know, drawing the portrait has got to be one of the hardest things to do when it comes to drawing, because we know right away, even if we don't have a picture of the way it looks like. So all I can tell you is this: the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. Okay? It takes time, so don't be so hard on yourself. The key is that you keep trying. And as I'm saying this out loud, I can remember back the moment that it snapped into place. I mean, it was a struggle for the longest time. And then one day it just all came together. And I guarantee you it will happen. It will happen. But you've got to keep failing in order to find success. So if your portrait isn't the way that you like it, or you're really struggling and you want to throw it away, that's the best position to be in, because then you're learning. All right. So see it through its end. You may not want to show anyone because you hate it. That's okay. I don't mind that. Just turn the page. That's one more portrait down. It will happen. It just will take time. All right. All right, let's keep going here. Enough of that pep talk. Let's go ahead and add, I'm going to go ahead and add an overall, just a tone to this hair here. And let's jump all the way to the bottom, because what I'm doing right now is just adding I'm adding like tones. I'm adding tones into the certain areas. I'm like trying to separate light from dark. That's all I'm doing with this is the same way you would paint if you're going to paint an oil painting or acrylic painting or whatever. You're going to separate what is light and what is dark. And so that's essentially what I'm doing right now. So let's take a look at this here. Look at this alignment. There is his neck there, and so there is the edge of his shirt. You see that? So let's come down here. Great, I could add some tone out on this. All right, let's get this bow tie, very classic. They have a fast food restaurant out here called KFC. I think it's worldwide. It may not be. I don't know. But it's all about a Southern gentleman who starts a chicken restaurant. And he has a tie similar to this, which intrigues me that this type of bow tie, where did it get started? So all I'm doing is just kind of drawing in the shape right now of that. Once again, I'm going to look at this negative. I'm looking at this negative shape right here. You see that? Okay, so this is where we're at right now, and I think this is a great place. I'm going to stop right here because I think there's enough information here where, as far as the construction goes, I'm fine. Now it's just a matter of going back over it a second time and adding another level of dark value to get things to pop off, to create more contrast. The one thing I do want to point out to you is if you drop in a solid value for the hair, but just think of it as a flat mass, except these highlights. Put these highlights in and get them to curve, and don't think of individual hairs. Just think of it as a solid mass, just with those little highlights popping up, and I think that would really be dramatic. Okay? Any questions here? We have just a couple more minutes here, and I'm gonna come in here and just work this eye just a little bit on the right side here, just to see if anything else pops up. This is a good example of like where you could use the cartoon check. Look at the picture, eyelid, and now look at mine and jump back and forth. You see that? Immediately you could see who is the best artist in the group and why is it Mariana. Oh, that's a fantastic question. Oh, that was good. All right, so there you go. I think on that, I can't outdo that. That's the best question of the day. And you answered it as well. Listen, my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. This is our Wednesday edition of our Wednesday afternoon live. I am so glad that you watched today. Do please jump down, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up. And if you're part of the daily draw, that class will start in about 15 minutes. And we are going to be looking at the mask. The mask? What's the mask? Well, you have to check that out, all right? All right. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Oh, Darlene, you're going to be there. Give me 6 months, Darlene, and we'll make you the best, all right? We'll make you the best, all right? See y'all later. Bye-bye.